should be the first thing to So, Lucia Anderson, I'm an electrical engineer, actually Pual electrical engineer. I'm PD in a few states, started in Minnesota and then just reciprocity. Then I realized that I should be getting interested in energy efficiency, that sort of thing. So I got my LEED AP certification. And then, because as an electrical engineer, you end up responsible for the lighting design, I thought, oh, well, I guess maybe I should get my lighting certified thing as well. But when it comes to lighting design, Lisa is the specialist. I know the basics and I can kind of funnel my way through, but I will never really quite call myself a lighting designer. I have been working for a long time for a few firms in the city as well, architectural firms, HDA, BKV, Wald, that sort of thing. And then I'm working now for a company that's called AMEC. I've been with them for almost 6 years. I've also worked with them for some years before going into architectural firm of the field. They were called Simons at the time. So I kind of went back home. This is an industrial company. We do mostly food processing plants, that sort of thing. They do their process and then, everything needs electricity, so eventually they need an electrical engineer. So we are busy and we are doing fine. And also, so that's what I do as far as work. I volunteer a lot. I volunteer with the North Central Electrical Engineering Society, NCES. I was on their board of directors. I'm a past president. And then now I am on the volunteer on the board of the IES Society, the Twin Cities chapter. I also volunteer for the math count, which is a math competition for middle school students. That is through the Minnesota Society of Professional Engineers. And I just want to tell you that the best way, really, to get into the industry, to know who's who, even in terms of what firms are out there, is to go out and volunteer. And go out and take advantage of a really great group that's out there, both in engineering, like I said, in lighting design, and just, giving back to the community. Because, what goes around comes around, and we want to be good going around. So anyway, that's all about me. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask me. I think most of the talking will be done by Lisa, as she is specialist.
I am a talker. Okay, so I'm Lisa Shepey, and I work at Shadley Erickson, which is an AP firm, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We do special low voltage systems, but we also have a lighting department. I've been there for 13 years, and in that 13 years, we've waffled between having 2 and 3 lighting designers who work. That's all we do is lighting design. You can't make me do any kind of circuiting. That's not my gig, okay? So other lighting designers sometimes do circuiting. We do switch legs, controls, all that stuff, but I don't ever circuit to a panel. I can do it in Revit if I have to add one light, and I know it's in the room with everything else on that circuit, I will add it. But that's about the extent of my knowledge of that. I know, what the loads are for circuits and things like that, but I prefer just to keep that kind of, let everyone else in the office have fun. So my background is an interior designer. I went to NDSU, and I will say that in the interior design world, as you know, you get a snippet, as with engineering, you get a snippet of 100 different things and different directions you can go with that degree. And for me, interior design actually started working in a lighting showroom because we needed to have one work credit back when I was there, starting. I think it was just going semesters, not to date myself too much, but so I went to work at a lighting showroom for my credit, and then I just stuck with it ever since then. So I moved to Madison, did residential, did high-end residential, did parade homes. I decided I wanted to go back to Minnesota, and that's when I interviewed at engineering firms as well as lighting firms. And I ended up at Machad, and it's been a great fit for me ever since. I was hired at some other places, which sometimes I think might have been fun, but I feel like Machad is really the best fit for me because they're all pretty functional and aesthetic, but Machad, I can be more aesthetic and lean on the other people to be functional when I have questions that are beyond what I can do. So like Shula Shark, some of those guys, they're very smart, great at what they do, but I kind of like the balance that Orange Shock with me personally. So I am going to talk just a little bit about some of the IES information and a few other things I was asked to cover, even though just since they're told I don't really need to cover them very thoroughly. But so IES is the local Illuminating Engineers Society, and we have meetings September through May. Not all of them are boring and just informational meetings. A lot of them are tours. We toured the Guthrie. We try to do 2 fun tours of projects per year, one in the fall and one in the spring. That becomes more of a social event too. We also have a bowling outing. We're trying to get more young people involved because it kind of seems like, and I'm not sure if it's just habit or you guys are doing more stuff online, you're taking your credit courses online, but we're trying to pull more people in because connectivity, person to person, is really, really important in this industry. And as you alluded to, getting to know people and know what people do and who the industry leaders are and how they give back to the community by donating their time and their efforts and sometimes their angst and tears to keeping these organizations going is important. So we need to draw from some of the younger groups like you guys to get more people involved. And we have, just so you guys could probably read this on your own, it's not all lighting designers, it's engineers. We're trying to get a little bit more involved with the distributors. As we spoke earlier that NCES has their meetings as well, and that tends to draw more the engineers and the distributors. We're trying to do a little bit more of a liaison between the 2 sections so we understand what they do and they understand what we do and the challenges both groups face when working together as well. We actually have a joint meeting coming up in January. We have one joint meeting between the 2 groups each year, usually the January meeting. So we also have what's called the EP program, which is more geared toward you guys, the working professionals. There is a membership discount rate for EPs to try to get people more involved, again, in the association. I think it's $75 or $90 a year for membership. And then you get an EP level status, which means you get a discount on all the meetings. And if you go to the website, you'll see what some of the meetings actually are. Some of them you find interesting, some of them you might not. And that's just the balance that we have. Some of them are very informative and lots of information and technical, and other ones are just, again, social or aesthetic or learning about mistakes that we make on each project and how we learn from them. The national level, I put obviously links to all these websites, and the national level, if you want to just click on that for me, that'd be great.
The national one?
Yeah, the national one. So we can go back to ours afterwards. Yeah, he's got them all set up, so that's awesome.
Where you find among all the
well, I'm glad I didn't have to do that because I would have taken it off longer. There it is. Yeah. Can you go back just one page? So this is the home page. And actually, if you look right down the bottom corner, Kevin Van Den Millenberg, the little yellow box, he is going to be our speaker at our next meeting in December on the 10th, next Tuesday. He's going to do a presentation on daylighting and some of the other new codes that are coming in. So he's actually someone we're having flown in nationals paying for to come in and do a presentation. So it's a great way to earn maybe credits. Maybe the instructors tell you you have to get 5 hours a semester or however you get for semesters in extracurricular hours outside of the classroom. That would be a great one to go to. And again, we've got student price points as well if you choose not to be an EP level. Some of the other things they offer, there are some awards and some grants available for students. There's an EP program that's, the national level will allow up to $1,000 in reimbursable travel expenses to go to our annual conference, which was held in Huntington Beach last month. Next year it's in Pittsburgh, so if anybody has an itch to go see Pittsburgh, that would be a great way to get involved, fill out their registration form, do the application, and then get yourself some travel funds to go and visit some other professionals from across the country.
Go back to
Sure. Or you can go to if you want to go to our local one, that would be great too. There it is. Yeah. So this is our local page. So if you're ever wondering what's going on, what's coming up next, I will be the first to admit we're not a month in advance. But it will tell you, we usually do the second Tuesday of every month as our goal for our meeting dates. And usually within a few weeks before each next oncoming meeting, we'll have a flyer and registration prepared. So again, I mean, I know it's hard, maybe you can't get 2 or 3 friends to go with you, but don't be afraid to come by yourself. We won't make you cry, sit in the corner by yourself. We'll try to embrace and socialize with you guys as well, okay?
Yeah, Lisa, if you guys want a place to meet, we'll be more than happy to give you
Oh,
this
that'd be great.
room or any other room to meet here. So
We're also trying to get the actual emerging professionals program going, where just that group of professionals will meet, maybe meet for pizza, maybe meet and again do some tours on campus or some other small projects, or it's just that group that goes and does kind of a social outing. So you kind of get to know people at your age and level from the different universities and maybe out in the field as well, people that are working already at distributors or at firms that are in that group of, 5 years or less within the industry kind of thing, okay? Let's see what else we should talk about a little bit. So, anybody who's interested, go for it. I talked to Derek into going once, but he didn't make it to the pizza thing last time. I don't remember why. I won't put you on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
So, we could talk a little bit. We're trying to keep this down to about 15 minutes, so I'm not going to talk too terrible much more. If you want to go down to page 2, you guys can go to the website, peruse, see if there's things that interest you, and look again for events on there on a regular basis. I think most of this you guys have covered, but I was asked anyway to at least cover the software a little bit, and I'll tell you what I use. Maybe you want to, do you use any lighting software?
Visual
Visual?
basic.
Okay, so Visual obviously is a free lighting software provided by Lithonia. It seems like it's a good program. We used it many years ago when I first started. That's kind of what we used then. We have since moved on to AGI is what we use on a regular basis. Radiance is daylight simulation. It's a very intense program, but it is DOE offered and it is free software. So if you're a real techie and you like to go in and learn about those things, there's the link to go in and look at that program as well. And obviously Revit is the new up and coming AutoCAD kind of waning. Revit is ramping up, at least in our firm a lot. I know we're probably a year behind, but we're pretty conservative about jumping onto the latest technologies because it requires a lot of modifications, let's just say, for our office. So eLoom Tools is out there available. It's actually made by the same people that do AGI 32, but it's linked into Revit. We have it. We don't use it a lot yet. Still a little bit cumbersome. We've noticed some things with some of the IES files coming in a little wonky and not quite. We look at some rooms and we're like, that's a parabolic. Why do we have more light on one side of the room than the other? It should be exactly equal. So we've noticed a few little tweaks that are still being ironed out. And for the most part, when you're in a Revit model and you've got all this, information to go in and run AGI on a room or two, eLoom, we just haven't really utilized it. We're just starting to get into it a little bit more now. We still would usually go back and do the hand calculations, or just go into AGI and make a 20 by 60 room and plop our fixtures in and run it that way. Unless you're doing really intensive, I was just asked to tell me how many foot candles I get in this lab right now, where we've got huge hoods and big ductwork and cable tray and all these obstacles, at or below the light fixture plane. So then I actually remodeled it all in the AGI only to find out it was in Revit. I was like, I probably could use the Revit model, but it's okay. It's nice to have an understanding of what's in your way as well and just build it a little bit in AGI. So those are kind of the variations. AGI, obviously, you do pay for, as we do with eLoom. So at this point in our office, we only have one version of eLoom available to be checked out at a time. So, but that's okay, as long as most people aren't doing it more than one person at a time anyway. Calculations, I know you guys just went through that, and I just want to make sure that you realize that is important. There are days when your computer is slow or locked up, or you just don't want to do it that way, and I always tell my engineers, when they come over and they go, can you run me calculations for this one room? And I'm like, one room? I'm not going to build this one room always in AGI. Calculate it. Some people even have the calculators where they just punch in the room parameters and it just kind of gives you room cavity ratio. So I was saying let me know if this calculation is wrong because I did it just off my memory. I didn't actually look it up again. So I use it, but not a lot. So it was one of those things where I was like 5 times the height, right? So room cavity ratio is still important to know how to use pen to paper, big time, or pencil to paper. Foot candles, that's still true a little bit when you're talking about doing the LED conversion. If you're trying to figure out, I've got a 32 watt compact fluorescent, and now I want to use an LED fixture without looking at the photometrics and the candela curve. Just to get an idea, you can still use this type of calculation. The only difference is your CU and your light loss factor is obviously going to be different for LED than it is for fluorescent. The CU, I still have people that are like, what is the CU? Where do I get that? It is actually on your cut sheet, and you go to the internet and you pull in the PDFs. Usually on the back page, the second page of the cut sheet is your CU tables. So that's where you can pull that off of. It's kind of nice to know that your own brain still works too. So I kind of like to do hand calculations once in a while as well. LC, what is LC? It's lighting certified. It means that you have passed industry standard. So interior designers have NCIBQ. I always get confused because I was NCQOP and I said them backwards a couple times. For interior designers, obviously engineers, you have your PE or your FE, depending on different levels. LC is for lighting designers, and actually residential has a certification as well, and that's called CLC, and that's Certified Lighting Consultant. And that's a test that I took back when I did residential as well, and that was layouts and zoning and circuiting, and then you turn it all in, and 2 weeks later, a group of people national have looked at it and offered you that. LC is a little bit harder than that in a different way. LC is obviously through the NCQOP. It's given once a year. It's usually offered in the fall. And there are online classes that you can take now to study courses. It's $800. So you can tell that that price point came out of the New York office because most of us can't afford $800. Were you in the same class with me? Yes. We just met in the library, in the central library, and exchanged different publications because not everybody had the entire IES recommended practices and the TMs and all those guides. So we just met and we said, okay, who's got these? Each week we would distribute. Maybe if we came across things we didn't understand, we'd ask the other group if any of those understood it better and how to explain it. And that's pretty much all we did to study. So if you just read the textbooks, you can do it for less than $800.
That's a good one. The good thing about being in a group was we were saying we are going to discuss this. So you had to kind of go through, you had that timing, and then you had to face the others and say, oh, well, I didn't read for today or whatever. So it just keeps you on track, because it actually is a lot of stuff to go through.
Yeah.
Not that we want to discourage you, but it was a little bit like.
But there was things when I would, I will admit that I wasn't really the best studier in college. But when I read the chapter, I was like, oh, this totally makes sense now. Like, if I would have read that before I went to class today, I would have been able to pick up on it much better. So things you learn. But as I went through and I was reading, I was like, oh yeah, I could have used that for my last project if I would have, just recently done some of the RPs. So, I'm trying to think of what else I was going to touch on regarding that. That's maybe it. There are some cities that require some of your projects to have an LC, have done the lighting calculations and design. City of Bloomington is one. Londell Keys requires that all lighting design, roadway, parking ramps be signed off and designed by an LC. So it's not exterior. Pardon?
Primarily exterior, not interior.
Not interior, yes. Mostly for like pollution, dark sky, efficiencies, all these things that are very noticeable to a city planner. So interior, not quite as much, but so it is a certification that is useful and gives you a little bit of image out there as well.
What?
Do you want to add anything?
Well, I think what I want to add is it's really not necessarily regarding what Lisa said, so to speak, but I just want to tell you that you are really at a great point in your life, and that lighting design, electrical design, interior design, I mean, this is really a great field to be in. I mean, I'm an electrical engineer, and I do design, electrical design, we need people. We need young people to come in the industry and, allow us to retire. But it's a great industry to be in, and having certifications really mean that you know what you're doing and you can prove yourself as a professional. And I really encourage you to stay on track. It's a great, great field, and you can have a great future.
Yeah. Do you ever have those days, and I have those days where I'm like, oh, I'm not solving world hunger, I'm not saving puppies, I'm not volunteering at the Humane Society, should I, but then I think, well, wait, I'm helping to design aesthetically pleasing, functional, energy efficient, and environmentally safe buildings for humans, which is very important as well. Mm-hmm. So I always tell myself, like, that's how I'm doing my eco-friendly lifestyle, is by making sure that it's energy efficient, maintainable, and again, aesthetically pleasing for people to work and function and live in. And that's a big piece of it too. So no puppies safe, but lots of hopefully happier tenants anyway.
No, it is actually, and it is more and more important with the way the regulations are moving towards, we know right now there isn't much about interior design. I mean, there are energy codes that would say you have to have this 1 per square footage and control it this way. Lisa can speak more about that, but it's still not really checked clearly, but it will be eventually. I can tell you that in the, 15 years, 17 years that I've been being in this field, in this particular community, things have changed incredibly. When I first stepped in as an engineer, degreed engineer, it was like, we need degreed engineers, right? And now all of a sudden, you have to be an engineer. You got to be a PE because that has to be signed. Now you have to be an MC to sign lighting design for exterior, whatever. You have to be RCDD to do communication design and sign off on that kind of thing. So it is really important to find your niche and then try to be the best that you can and get your certifications, and then you stand your ground and you have a real great future.
All right. Any questions before we disappear and make you guys get to work?
To get your LC, do you have to have like an undergraduate degree in design or architecture? I mean, do they have any qualifications as far as how you are you just allowed?
Is there so many years in the industry before you can take it?
I actually don't.
Good question.
Can you go on?
That was like 5 or 6 years ago.
I think you have to have a bachelor. You have to have a bachelor, but it's not an architectural bachelor degree. And I think 4 years of working in the lighting. That last time I checked.
Right, no,
Yeah, 4 years of working as a lighting designer and a bachelor degree. So this is not a goal that you guys will have right now. That's a goal in the future. If you end up working as a lighting designer, job security, more money. I don't know about you. I always tell myself. I hope so. Well, the more licensure and certification you have, the more job security you're going to have. And if that's what you guys want to do as a lighting designers or interior designers, you guys have the certification through the state, like the engineers do.
We have the NCIQ, which is a national qualifying.
So it can be certified lighting designer.
No, national qualified is national certification and qualification of interior design. So that council is a national governing council that you need a bachelor's degree from CETA accredited schools. Now that we're CETA accredited, which is the old fighter. We just got CETA accredited last year, so only the University of Minnesota and us are accredited in the state. So any other interior design schools, they can finally take NCIQ, but they have to work a lot longer in order to take it. So I think you have to work for 2 years and then come from a CETA accredited bachelor's degree program, and then you can take NCIQ.
Okay.
So, and then there's also CID, which is the Council for Certified Interior Designer, and that's another accreditation that you can get as well.
Okay.
But all of them require bachelor's degree. You can't get it.
Well, yeah. So that's what we're hoping to do. And since I have you, Lucia, and we have interior designers and also electrical designers here, you will see a few things about the market in the, just for a few seconds about the market in the electrical design. And I know we have 5 students here, and so since we've got you
Well, I tell you, I'm not sure what to say. I guess maybe you can just ask me whatever question you have, and I can see if I can answer. In terms of generally the industry, I can tell you that I truly believe that it's a great industry to be in. I'm really happy that I went through electrical engineering schooling, and I'm an engineer in electrical field. I think electrical is gonna be here forever. Everything needs electricity, trust me. And even when they don't know they need it, that they might be almost there, then the project is like, oops, wait, how do we power this? Where's the electrical? So no, seriously, it's a great field to be in. Now, I know that, the whole entire great regression, whatever this economic downturn was called to be, it seems to be coming up again. We are seeing a lot more projects, and we all, it's like we all have a certain place in the big scheme of things. And yes, a firm needs electrical engineers certified, to sign documents, whatever, but they also need people to do the work. You need electrical designers who are able to go in and work with all this software that's out there, be it Revit, be it PDMS is what they are doing at my company, because it's a lot more on piping, and the process people are the larger group, so we go with them, or CAD or whatever it is, but you have to be able to work these things and understand how they come together. We all know, and this actually touched the point of, this tools where you put in something and you look at the result and you go, wait a minute, this can't be right. So sometimes, you have to be able to understand that not just because it came out of a software program is necessarily right. I deal a lot more with SKM. I do a lot of power modeling and arc flash studies and coordination studies. And one of the things that I'm trying to tell the younger people that work with me is, if it's garbage in, it's going to be garbage out. So you just have to be able to look at that result and understand, are you really where you should be? And if you are not really in that, what could have done wrong, So you still have to, there's a lot of help. I'm trying to say that within software and whatever, there's a lot of help out there a lot of software that does stuff faster than us. But you still have to go back and do the calcs. If you have any question, you look at the result and you go, this isn't really right. You have to be able to think and judge that. And it's, you learn something every day, but like I said, it's a great field to be in, and we need every one of you eventually.
And one other quick thing I want to add is, obviously, Michelle draws a lot from Dunwoody. We have two guys in the classroom that either have worked or work for Michelle right now. But your Revit, your AutoCAD, you guys again learn one way to do it, but whenever you go, and that's a great in because that's why we draw from Dunwoody a lot. But whenever you go to a firm, each firm is going to be different. So what you learned out of the box is probably not going to be what you're going to learn when you go to a firm. So, and I'm sure it's the same with interiors. You learn one way and you get to a different firm and, or get to a firm, and each firm is going to do things differently or have different programs that run it, or if it's Steelcase or Hayward or whoever it might be has different programs to configure things for us. But again, to have the base knowledge and to have touched on many, many different facets and varieties and direction is what you're here for. And then from there, you guys can decide what your niche is and what your focus is and what you're really kind of calling on to. So, I know when I went to college, this might date me a little bit, I took an engineering class, and it was CAD-P, which was designing nuts and bolts three-dimensionally, which was the precursor, I think, kind of to AutoCAD. So when I went to interior design, I took AutoCAD. And now I do a little bit around it, but not that good.
If we go out to MC's site and take a look at some of your projects, because
What's probably better is do you have internet access?
Yeah.
Can you go to www.lightspaces? Lightspaces is just the lighting design portion of Michon. So Michon has a big, nice website, but we just finally got the Lightspaces one kicked off, which is more about pretty pictures, which is like a better indicator of the final process of what I do anyway.
Do you want to drive here?
Oh, well, I don't know, doesn't matter, I can try. I can try the mouse, I hope the mouse is calibrated so that I'm shooting off all over
You're right here.
all
You
over the
can,
screen.
you can do it here.
Oh, yes, awesome. So, here it is, and this is just kind of a scrolling, I like to say pretty pictures, portfolio of some of the projects we've worked on. So we work on all kinds of projects. We work on theaters, we work on, not theaters as much as Shook does, but we do maybe the pre-function spaces, back of the house spaces, costume shops. We do museums, we work on office buildings, we work on a little bit of retail here and there, but usually retail is done by a lighting designer that works for that specific retail chain or branding company. We do a lot of corporate campus items or headquarters, feature areas. Again, one of the things, at least what we do is we brand ourselves or market ourselves as being the specialty areas. We'll help the engineers with the open office design, with lumen power of labs, but for the most part, we work more in the premier spaces. We work in the lobbies, the retrofits, the restaurants, and doing areas more like that require slightly more of a specialty or aesthetic eye, and that's where my interior background comes in. Understanding what the features, the highlights, points of interest, wayfinding, all of those type of terminology are important on a day-to-day basis for me. So if you guys ever want to go and look at pretty pictures, that's our scrolling. You can go into different key markets. So obviously aviation, we work on the two terminals, our main aviation. I work on those pretty much, I'm the exclusive lighting person for the airports right now. So corporate, and again, within reason, we work on a lot of projects like UHG where they won't let you photograph theirs for privacy purposes. So there's some things out there that we don't even have pictures of, or a lot of projects that we don't go out and get pictures of. Some of the projects I enjoy the most, I really enjoy working on libraries. I've done like 3 libraries in town. That's just kind of one of the things that I really like. So yeah, if you want to go in here and see some pretty pictures, we did, front of the house areas on Children's Theater. Here's Northeast Library. That was one I just did recently. That was a great renovation. So again, and sometimes our lighting design group will work with an engineering firm from another company. I'm going to be working on a resort project down in the Carolinas with ESG Architects, where we're not the engineer, but our lighting design group is working on it. So there's always a liaison and a different team on every project. So.
You guys have interior design division?
No, the interior design division is the 2 lighting designers. We both happen to have interior design backgrounds. We used to be 3, and the third person was architectural engineering background from Penn State. And Signet, who currently still works with me, is U of M interior design graduate. So
I used to work at Architectural Alliance, so MCE, I worked in their office actually.
I worked at Architectural Alliance a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, I know some projects actually on those other projects I did. So, but working there, then we hire MCE because they do full service engineering, lighting design. So on real premier projects, she's talking about, like, we do the lighting on a lot of it, but then the really, really public spaces like Alliance, 1 and 2, and a lot of those, and they come in and kind of handle, and they work in conjunction with architecture firms to kind of make this space come together really great, because they really specialize in really premier lighting and more technical than architectural. Really cool stuff. So.
Yeah, push it home. If you don't know how important lighting is, you just go outside at 4 o'clock. All the fancy finishes and all the beautiful features are gone if the lighting isn't right in the building. So, as well as functionality and productivity during the day. And energy. All those things are important. So.
We have a really great portfolio.
Pretty pictures. It's all about pretty pictures for me.
Who's art in the terminal?
Huh?
Who's art in the terminal?
I don't, well, I do have a picture of art in the terminal, but I didn't put it on here. At the time we took the pictures, they didn't have the art installed, so it wasn't as cool as it is. It's better now. So. Okay, anybody have any questions?
I have a technical one for you. I'll play it on my own permit. I do a lot. I have about 17 projects right now. I'm working with a lot of developers right now. I'm running into a big problem with they all want LEDs.
Yep.
a lot of the public spaces and stuff, so I've been putting them in over the years. But when they go out, the housing, it's a massive amount of money.
LEDs don't go out, do they?
Yeah, they do. They're probably enough time where they work, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
Right.
Sometimes the whole fixture has to be replaced. So now I'm kind of pushing T8s rather than LEDs because all these building owners are kind of like, what in the world? You never told me about this.
You never told me. I thought we put LEDs in. We didn't even have to think about it for at least 15 years, right? Well, we have that problem at the airport right now too. You know, there's LEDs. Everybody's pushing LEDs. Conceptually, awesome. We're still engineers. We're still conservative. I'm still happy with the T8. On a 12-start program start, you can still get 36,000 hours out of it, versus your LED is maybe 100,000 hours in perfect conditions. But what's the plan if before 100,000 hours your driver fails, an area of the LEDs fails, you know, and it's harder to get in and retrofit. You can't just relamp it. So there are kind of some consortiums that are out there that are working on regulating, kind of like NEMA, you know, regulating dimensions and a plan for, much like we relamp things now, to put new LED modules in and drivers. That being said, it's still in its infancy, to say the least. And for example, I just had a wall pack at the airport that failed. And don't just give me a new wall pack, because that would be the easy solution. Now I'm trying to send me a new driver and then find out that the driver they had previously is no longer made and the new driver doesn't fit in the housing anymore. So now we have to wait another 3 weeks. The light still isn't working to get another driver to try to fit in the housing. Just send me a new fixture. But the other thing to think about, and this is big for MnDOT, is what about lumen depreciation? How do you relamp all these pole heads when they're still working, but they're dirty because they think their LEDs may need no maintenance? Or 5 years down the road, they put up another group that's 20% brighter than the group that they had in there previously. Or even though there's regulations regarding color temperature as well, they might not look exactly the same as the ones you put in 5 or 10 years earlier. Or what if you get, 6 failures and you just put in a new head, but again, it's next to 5 other ones that don't quite look the same. So they're still ironing all those details out, and for the most part, that's why I'm still a little hesitant on pulling the trigger to 100% LED. It's still, especially in accessible areas. Saving power is one thing.
Yeah, the light manufacturers just fueling,
Yeah.
That's what they're just going after all over the place, and it's really a disaster.
I don't know if we can deal with the energy code too, with ASHRAE 19.1/2012. That will be adopted I don't know when, but it will be adopted in Minnesota. You almost cannot meet the energy code without LED.
Without some LEDs.
Some LED.
Right now, what we're kind of primarily doing is still in my linears. We're still using fluorescent, but my LED, or my fluorescent downlights have been replaced by LEDs. My track has been replaced by LEDs. To save the energy where you obviously can, but even then fluorescent with their lumens per watt, it's still just about as good as LED with the 360 distribution that you don't get from LED. So that's kind of where we're at with this anyway. And yeah, LED's not perfect, and not maintenance free. So don't let them sell you on that.
Is that the big part is the maintenance issue for it? Is usually just like power outages or surges that mostly cause it?
We have had some surge issues out at the airport too. I think that they've got inconsistent power out there. I think they get a lot of surges in the power, and we've had some drivers that trip and then they blink because they're resetting, or they need to be reset, factory reset. We've had some bollards out there. The Mall of America, when they did their big change out of the parking ramp, they had a lot of, we'll say, learning experiences in terms of they have power surges too, and the LEDs. The first batch, when the power surge would go, it would trip the contact closure, and then the power, they would have to go in and manually turn the circuit on and off because in order to restart the fixtures, because they would close off and wouldn't come back on. So when they'd hit that surge and they'd, save themselves by shutting themselves off, and then the power restored the proper current, it wouldn't come back on. So, there's still a lot of learning curve out there with LEDs. So if anybody becomes a lighting manufacturer's rep, don't oversell.
But I think it's here to stay. And
Yeah,
I think
well,
that
absolutely.
mentioning will take over.
But I still think it's going to be another 5 years, maybe 10, before you see the last fluorescence or anything.
I went to a boot camp with IES 2 years ago for lighting instructors actually out east. So we went over to Phillips for a day, and we actually got to play around with LEDs and actually understand the process of the fitting and all the different. That was really helpful because I didn't really grasp a lot of it before. So to really see it in person and understand how inefficient that color is and why it is and learning
that technology itself is very, very interesting to do research on and read what's out there online. So,
what's your view on Title 24? Do you think that it might possibly be here in our lifetime? Or
the thing I'm laughing at is when I came back from the annual conference, they do the spoofs, and they actually had a movie called Title 24. There's always somebody standing in the background with the number 24 on him, and he's like, shut the lights off. He did all these little maniacal things throughout the whole movie. I don't know, Title 24 is, the energy code itself is behind Title 24, but it's always following Title 24. So, I don't know if it's ever going to go nationwide, just because we have different energy uses and different price points and all of that, and to mandate something of that stringent in areas other than California, Florida, and the East Coast, I don't see that happening, hopefully. So, only because we can do it in our own way in our Minnesota energy codes. We can be prudent, but not crazy. That's my answer on that one. All right, did we go over? I'm sure we did. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions or anything, certainly let us know. Or if you want us to come back and talk for 2 hours, you can probably do that.
Do you guys have business cards that you can share with people who are interested, maybe?
I'm not sure about the emails. Make sure that I don't spell it. So I have 2 business cards, and I have 2 faces at Michelle. I have a Michelle card, and I have a Light Spaces card. So maybe I should do 2 engineers.
Lucia, do you want to type your email here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Fine, there.
sorry, I don't have to get on your card.
Oh, okay.
I'll do it that way.
Excellent.
I don't like wasting card.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't mind because then I just get new ones. But I think that this one doesn't have a website on it.
There you go.
Oh, it's crazy.
However,
Well, ever since I've been working at Rashad, so for 13 years, yeah. And
I didn't realize it was called like cookie over.
yeah, we get a pretty purple card with a little light bulb and a bolt of light manifold.
And if you guys want to contact Lucia, especially the designers, the interior or electrical, here's Lucia's email. If you if you're looking for a job in the design or interior design or what's not, she might be able to help you. I don't know if you push LinkedIn on your students, but if you're, you do?
Business practice stuff.
Yeah, if you guys don't have a LinkedIn profile, you're behind. So this is like your Facebook. So put your professional Facebook. Make sure you have a LinkedIn profile. Link to those young ladies here. So they'll have a lot of contacts for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know IITA has great tours too, but some of them kind of piggyback on some of the same. I know they did the tour of the library, which is the LEED building, and that's something that we, as IES, we probably would have done too. So don't count us out as being just boring dry meetings with salmon dinners.
It's nice now because their senior year they take the leave class and then they actually take the test.
Oh yeah,
It's not they graduate.
we're both LEED certified too, so.
So it's kind of convenient that they graduate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, which school would they be doing? I'm so scared.
Well, now you waited too long, it's even harder.
I know.
I got it on the early version, so.
wait.
I know, yeah.
And it was interesting because electrical engineering is almost nothing under the lead. I was like, oh, it's architectural stuff.
Well, thank you, interior design ladies and gentlemen, for coming, guys. Hopefully, we'll see you in another training. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'll do.
Talk about that.
Hopefully we'll see some of you at some of the events too.
Right, we hope so.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you chat. Yeah, let us know if you
we